We're ready to proceed with the program. Okay, we're going to proceed with our program. At this time, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for the 2014-15 M&I Magnet School FFA banquet, Mr. Wyatt Joiner. He's from La Ronge, Louisiana. Wyatt is a professional rodeo announcer. He's a Louisiana FFA alumni, and he's a Louisiana Young Ag Producers Program graduate. Please help me welcome Mr. Wyatt Joiner.
Man, it feels great to be back in front of encouraged and inspired young FFA members like I was at one time 3 years ago when I graduated high school. Well, first off, y'all thank your officers right here. Come on, make some noise. They done a great job putting this together just for y'all. Well, my FFA journey started for me back in the 7th grade. If you're wondering how, I went to school in St. Tammany Parish for a short period of time. And St. Tammany Parish offered junior high ag programs. And looking back at it now, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I've been in the FFA from 7th grade all the way till I graduated high school. And in the 7th grade, my mom was our junior high ag teacher, thankfully. One day I walked into class and she looked at me and she said, "Wyatt, you're doing a speech." I said, "Speech?" I said, "How long's the speech?" She said, 4 to 6 minutes. I said, "You want me to talk in front of people for 4 to 6 minutes? Ain't happening." Then she looked at me and she said, "Do you want to eat tonight?" What's the speech on? I hated my mother for it then, but today I thank her so much for making me do a prepared public speech in the 7th grade. Unknowingly, I would win the very first competition I would ever go to. And from then on, it skyrocketed my FFA career. And it somehow seemed I would always make it to area. Always. And I choked. I don't know why, I just choked. Forget one paragraph. And the judges would always find me and say, "If you would have forgot that one little bitty paragraph, you win hands down." But I've also been I served 2 terms as your Area 4 officer, one secretary, one for parliamentarian. I have served for your state nominated committee in 2009 to 2010, and from 10 to 11, I served as your chairman. I have also been a part of several SAEs from equine management, rodeo management. I've also done small animal, goat production, forage. I've also been a part of dairy judging teams, livestock judging teams, horse judging teams, electrical, welding, you name it. In the FFA, I've done it. But it was an awesome experience, especially for myself, because now that I know how to use my hands and my brain because of the FFA, I've come up with this little saying: use your hands and your back. And the FFA teaches that. Well, like they said before, I am a professional rodeo announcer. I can now officially hold that title since I had my first professional event last weekend in Columbia, Mississippi for the Professional Cowboys Association, brought to you by the 5T Rodeo Company. And I love what I do. I love to announce rodeo. Some of you may think it's crazy, some of you may think it's stupid, but I don't. I love it. And that's the best part about it. I love being behind the microphone, being an entertainer. Entertaining people is what I love to do. Well, how I got started into rodeo announcing, well, 4 years ago, I was 17. If you've ever been through La Ronge, you've probably heard of Cross Brain Cowboy Church. Well, my family started that church. When they started the little youth rodeo, it had been going on for about 3 years. And then one day, the announcer they had there couldn't make it. And they called me because they couldn't find anyone else. They know I did public speaking in high school. They said, "Wyatt, we need you to announce the rodeo." I said, "Me? Announce the rodeo? They said it pays $100. What time does it start?" And unknowingly, I would find something that I would fall in love with. Last March, I attended Chad Nicholson's rodeo announcer seminar in Fort Worth, Texas. One of the best opportunities I was ever given to me in my life, in my career especially. If you've ever watched the Wrangler National Finals, you've probably heard of a guy named Bradley Harder. If you don't know what the Wrangler National Finals is, it is our Super Bowl for rodeo. And Bradley Harder, he's married my first cousin. Well, Bradley met Chad Nicholson down in Lauderdale, Florida, at the big pro rodeo they have there. Well, Chad handed Bradley his card and said, tell your cousin to call me. Well, I'd done my research, and I'd found out for a 4-day school was $1,500 to go to his announcing seminar. Being a poor farm boy from La Ronge, Louisiana, I can't find $1,500 in a week. So I call him, and I maybe hoping to reserve a spot for next year. And what he told me next would surprise me for the rest of my life. He said, "You don't worry about the money, we'll worry about that later. You come on because I want to work with you." And thank you to Chad Nicholson and his rodeo announcer seminar, I've now become what I've always dreamed of being since I announced that first rodeo when I was 17 years old. And that's one of the things I love to do. And that's why I preach to you all the time, that do what makes you happy. If you're not happy with what you're doing, you're wasting your time. We are all here for a purpose. We're all here designed for something specific in each and every one of our lives. Find what makes you happy. And for all of you FFA students here, you have made such an awesome decision by being in this program, because I myself can tell you it has changed my life. It really has. It started the building blocks for what I could build onto now. One of the trades I love to do is welding. I love to weld. I don't want to do it as a career because I like it as a hobby. But I love to weld. And when I went to Fountain High School, they offered a welding class there, and I took it. I'm glad to take it now, because the job where I currently work now, that's what I do. We put up metal buildings, and they need something welded, they call me. But because of that trade that I learned in the FFA, I can now use it to fill my back pocket. And I love my back pocket. But please make a difference in the world. Do something to change your environment, to change where you're around. Don't sit around and complain about it. Go out and make a difference in your community, in your church, in your home, nationally, worldwide. If you can do something to make a difference, do it. Because we need more people in our world today, especially in the agricultural world, to step up to the plate. The average age of the farmer in 2010 was 55. And if I'm not correct, it is slowly climbing. What does that tell us? That more and more farmers are closing their doors around the United States. Who's going to feed America? Who's going to feed the world? America is the leader in several different raw commodities, raw farm commodities to be exact. Why aren't people going into farming? Well, if you look at it from this standpoint, to start your own farm from scratch is a multi-million-dollar operation. By the time you buy land, buildings, equipment, tractors, and if you're row cropping, by the time you buy your seed, your fertilizer, your pesticides, if you're raising livestock, by the time you buy the livestock, feed them, take care of them, all this stuff is a multi-million-dollar before you ever start. I've always said it takes a special kind of person to be a farmer. A special kind of person. Why? Because of their heart, the way they work. A farmer is a man. He doesn't work from 9 to 5. He wakes up at 5 and works to whenever he gets done. A farmer is a man that'll watch a baby foal, be born, and die. Wipe his eyes and say, maybe next year. The world needs farmers, and I cannot express that enough. But if you want to make a difference in the world, you first have to change who you are. People, change is not a bad thing. Change at all is not a bad thing. I'm scared to change sometimes. I really am, because we get so comfortable of where we are and what we're doing. We're afraid to change. We're afraid to make ourselves better because we're comfortable in this, and it's a nice little routine, this flow we get into. But don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to make yourself a bigger and better person. Well, I've come up with this 3-step program, you could call it, on how to make yourself a better person. First off, you want to realize the problems that you have in your life. You want to take a mental note, write them down, put them in that thing you call your smartphone. It doesn't matter, all of them, whether you're a patient, you're having troubles at home, with your parents, with your brothers and sisters, whether you have anger issues, write them down. That's the best way to do them, is where you can visually see them. Then just circle one. Just circle one, randomly circle one. Why? Because you want to fix one problem at a time. You see, most of the time we get to fixing so many different problems that we would create another one. So fix one problem at a time, and you'll never be perfect. I will tell you right now, that I'm never going to be perfect and you're never going to be perfect. What I tell people all the time is do not achieve perfection, achieve progression. If you're constantly moving forward, you've already achieved perfection. But work on yourself one step at a time. Then you want to figure out how you are going to fix the problem. Why do I say you? Because you are the only person that knows yourself the best. You know what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you laugh, what makes you cry. You know all those little bitty things that make you click. And thirdly, make a game plan. Make a game plan. The best football teams in the world will look like a bunch of idiots running around the field